Welcome to Mystery Theater, where we provide comprehensive case overviews in a bite-sized, digestible format, asking the pertinent questions to try and help bring those who are lost home. Tonight we take a look at what has been called the most heavily reported missing person case in modern history, the disappearance of 3-year-old Madeleine McCann from the United Kingdom. Madeleine went missing from her parents' holiday apartment while vacationing in Praia da Luz, Portugal, and hasn't been seen since. Did she wander off? Was it a burglary gone wrong? Or were her parents involved? We'll attempt to answer those questions and more in tonight's Mystery Theater. On May 3, 2007, Kate and Jerry McCann of Rothley, England, were on spring break vacation with their 3 children and friends in Praia da Luz, Portugal, a city known as Little Britain due to the heavy concentration of British homeowners. They were renting apartment 5A of the city's waterside village from one such homeowner, a retired teacher from Liverpool. Each night the McCanns would put their twins and 3-year-old daughter Madeleine to sleep and join their friends at the resort's tapas restaurant at 8:30 p.m. This habit would cause the media to dub the group the Tapas 7 and serve as the catalyst for Madeleine's disappearance. The couple left Madeleine asleep in her pink and white Eeyore pajamas at 8:30, and when her father checked on her at 9:05, Madeleine was fast asleep. Since the door locked from the inside, he left it slightly ajar to make checking on the children easier and rejoined his group of friends at the restaurant. The next check would be at 10 p.m., where Kate McCann would find her daughter had vanished from the apartment. The McCanns called Portuguese authorities and they began searching for Madeleine that night, bringing in 2 patrol dogs at 2 a.m. and 4 search and rescue dogs at 8 a.m. Waterways, wells, caves, sewers, and ruins were searched. Police officers had their leaves canceled to assist in finding Madeleine, but there wasn't a trace of her to be found. Despite the full-scale search, Portuguese authorities admitted to making many mistakes in the golden hours after Madeleine's disappearance. These mistakes included border and marine police not being given descriptions of Madeleine for many hours, officers not making house-to-house searches, and roadblocks not being placed in the area until 10 a.m. the next morning. Apparent inconsistencies in the McCanns and the Tapas 7 statements would lead to both the parents and some of the group being given arguido status, which is to say, suspects. Inconsistencies included Jerry first stating his nightly checks were done via the apartment's front door, and later saying it was the back door of the apartment he used. Another issue was with the bedroom window Madeleine had been sleeping under, which had slats that prevented it from being opened from the outside without it being forced. There were no signs of forced entry, yet Kate said the window was open when she found Madeleine was missing. The window being open was the cause of much speculation, including the Tapas 7 member Matthew Oldfield being accused. In between the McCanns' 9:05 and 10 p.m. checks, they had planned an additional 9:30 check as well, but Oldfield had offered to check on the McCanns' kids while he was checking on his own at 9:30. He claimed to have seen Madeleine's door wide open, but since he didn't hear any noises, he left without looking far enough into the bedroom to see if Madeleine was actually there. Portuguese police pounced on this fact, accusing Oldfield of opening the window and passing Madeleine to someone outside of it during his 9:30 check. And as previously mentioned, the McCanns themselves were suspects as well, with authorities believing it likely an accident had happened inside the apartment that they had covered up. In late 2007, they proposed to Kate that if she would admit Madeleine had died of an accident in the apartment and she had hidden the body, she may only do 2 years in prison and her husband would be free to leave. She was also criticized for leaving her other 2 children alone in the apartment to run back to the restaurant upon noticing Madeleine missing, where she loudly proclaimed, "Madeleine's gone, someone's taken her." Police believe she should have stayed with her other children to ensure their safety and called the group from her cell phone, which she had on her. Additional leads were found in 2 different sightings of 2 different men carrying a young girl in the area. The first was by Jane Tanner, member of the Tapas 7, who says she saw a man carrying a young girl at 9:15 as she returned from checking on her children. This was initially viewed as important as it established a timeline, but Scotland Yard would later come to believe they had identified this man, a British holidaymaker carrying his daughter back to his apartment, and that this sighting was almost certainly not related to Madeleine's disappearance. This dismissed sighting would come to be known as the Tanner sighting. but the other, known as the Smith sighting, could not be discarded so easily. On May 26, 2007, Martin and Mary Smith reported to police that they had been in Praia de Luz on holiday from Ireland and had seen a man carrying a child around 3 to 4 years old walking away from the Ocean Club and towards the beach. The child had light hair, blue eyes, and pale skin, and was barefoot with light-colored pajamas. The man was 5'7" to 5'9", slim to normal build, with short brown hair and cream or beige trousers. He didn't look like a tourist and seemed uncomfortable carrying the child. There were also many reports of other men behaving oddly outside the apartment in the hours before Madeleine's disappearance, and Scotland Yard came to believe these may have been men engaged in reconnaissance for an abduction or burglary, as there had been a fourfold increase in burglaries between January and May of 2007, including 2 burglaries in the McCanns block of apartments in which the burglars had entered through the windows. One man seen near the apartment was 34-year-old British-Portuguese man Robert Murad, who lived with his mother very close to the apartment that she was staying in. His presence in the area would not have been unusual due to his close proximity to it, but suspicions arose when he and his mother claimed he was home all night, despite 3 members of the Tapas 7 claiming to have seen him about the area. A Sunday Mirror journalist also claimed Murad had been asking about the case, drawing further suspicion. Murad had even signed up as an official interpreter on the case, claiming he wanted to help because he had a daughter Madeleine's age. On May 15th of 2007, Murad's home was searched, his pool drained, his cars, computers, phones, and videotapes examined, his garden searched using ground radar and sniffer dogs, and 2 of his associates questioned, one of which had his car torched with the Portuguese word fala, meaning speak, sprayed on the pavement by it the following year. But there was nothing to link Murad or his friends to the disappearance, and Murad's arguido status was lifted on July 21, 2008, when the case was archived. The McCanns continued to be scrutinized in the media as having possible involvement. Rumors continued to swirl that the Tapas 7 were swingers, that the McCanns had been sedating their children, and that the group had formed a pact of silence. In 2011, Scotland Yard opened its own inquiry, called Operation Grange, with its senior officer announcing he was treating the disappearance as a criminal act by a stranger, most likely a planned abduction or a burglary gone wrong. In 2013, Scotland Yard released EFIT images of men they wanted to trace, including the man seen carrying the child towards the beach. Shortly after this, Portuguese police reopened their inquiry. Operation Grange was scaled back in 2015, but the remaining detectives continued to pursue a small number of inquiries described in April 2017 as significant. So what happened to Madeleine McCann that night in Portugal? Was there an accident in the apartment her parents covered up? Did another member of the Tapas 7 pass her out the window to an abductor? Or did a burglar sneak in just at the right time and carry a still dazed and sleeping Madeleine off towards the beach and kidnap her? With Portuguese police and Scotland Yard continually on the case, we can only hope that whichever of the aforementioned scenarios are true, Madeleine is brought home and whoever is responsible for her disappearance is brought to justice. These are the questions we attempt to answer on Mystery Theater. I'll see you next time.